had some technical difficulties just a moment ago. I'm kind of flying solo, and my microphone isn't working, so I do apologize for that. So I will try to speak up, but also not be too loud. You can talk to me, Andy. I can hear you. So if you need to say something, say it, and everyone will hear you.
Hi, guys.
So we're doing things a little bit differently today. If you read the blog post we published earlier this week, you'll know that Andy travels for a living. So we spend a lot of time apart. Ordinarily, he's home on Fridays. However, he's traveling from up north to come back down here, and in the interim, he's working as well. So this weekend, he's actually away. So I'll show you what we're working on right now. So there he is. I don't know if you can see him, but this is how we're doing things. So you will have to bear with me a little bit. So let's kind of just ease into it. Let's see. All right, I can still see him and hear him. What's up?
Keep going.
Okay. I can still see him and hear him, and he can see me and hear me. And you guys all get to watch this, whatever it is. I don't really know what it is. But let's talk about calzones. So I'm going to get started on calzones today. And we are going to work on those. I'm going to work on those for hot lunch tomorrow. So we have 8 calzones that I need to make because there are 8 people, myself included, participating in hot lunch at Big Cat Rescue tomorrow. So I'm going to get started on the vegan calzone, and I'm going to I have my dough here. It's open, and I bought dough. I'm not going to lie, I bought it from the grocery store. And it's kind of sticky, so I'm going to go ahead and flour my hands and my work surface, just a little bit. So I'm making 3 different kinds of calzones tonight. I'm going to make a vegan calzone because I have a couple of vegan diets, and then I'm going to make a sausage and mushroom calzone, as well as a pepperoni and bell pepper calzone. So I'm just going to work my dough a little bit. And I'm going to get it all squared away. Now, if you are a person who makes dough, pizza dough, bread dough, that kind of thing, by all means, please feel free to make your own dough. I am not one of those people. I think you're supposed to actually work it with your hands. That's what I've seen on cooking shows, as opposed to rolling it. So I'm not going to worry about rolling it out. If you are someone who does not make your own dough, then don't fret, because that's okay. It's not, you can buy dough in the store, which I just admitted to doing. You can buy dough. You can buy pizza dough that's made specifically in a tube. You can buy pizza dough that is made by a baker. Or there are some pizza restaurants, if you know of your favorite pizza joint and they sell your dough, they might just sell their dough. So you could even go to your favorite pizza place and just even get the dough. They may just sell it to you and you can use their pizza dough. So I'm just working my calzone dough. I'm working my pizza dough, and I don't want it to be too thick, but I also don't want it to be too thin. So I've kind of worked it out. And the thing about pizza dough is that if you pull it like this, it'll bounce back together. So you really want to kind of work it out. And if you pull it too far, it'll shrink back together. It's kind of like pie crust in that sense. So you just want to kind of really let it work itself out. And while we're doing that, I'm going to share a fun story with you guys. I was actually at Big Cat Rescue today, and I have only been gone 2 weeks, but it feels like forever. It feels like I've been gone a long time. And I was working on cleaning tiger enclosures today, which I love. I love cleaning the tigers. Being a green shirt is so awesome. It's really a lot of fun. And we have a tiger named Keisha. For those of you who are new to Big Cat Rescue, we have a tiger named Keisha, and I was cleaning Keisha's feeding lockout. The bowls for the tigers are big and like round. They're about, you know, this big, and they're round, and they're heavy because they're full of water, and they're metal, and they're clipped, held up. So I unclipped her bowl, and I was slowly working her bowl down. And I will tell you that because Sapphire used to live in that enclosure, we had to put really tiny cage wire on the front, so you can only access Keisha's water bowl from the side. So I was dropping the bowl and dropping the bowl and dropping the bowl and slowly trying to let the water out. Well, my hand slipped because I was coming from the side, and the bowl fell down, and I was shocked and surprised, and I was just going, oh, and the water splashed up into my mouth. So Keisha and I have shared water now. It's a moment I will never ever forget. So, all right, so I'm just starting now to do some sauce here, and I, you know, use the sauce however you care. If you want it to be a little bit thick, if you want more sauce, if you want less sauce, just use your sauce to your desired amount. How are we doing, Andy? Do we have any questions, comments?
Let's see. So Kathy Ryan wants to know if it's just regular pizza dough. Anything special here?
It's Miss Kathy. It is just regular pizza dough, nothing special. So I just bought pizza dough from the store. You can buy the pizza dough from the tube. You can buy pizza dough probably from your local pizzeria. 1 second, please. Nothing.
According to, I guess according to translation on Facebook, Calzone translates to panties.
Oh.
So if you have your translator ready, we are not making panties.
In what language? Do we know?
I don't know. Whitney sent me a message just a minute ago asking, we're making what?
Okay, apparently there is a translation from the word calzone into panties in one language, which I don't know which language, but we're making little mini pocket pizzas for anyone who's confused. I'm currently making the vegan pizza calzone, and I'm making what am I making? I'm making a spinach and artichoke calzone. So as you can see, I put my pizza dough, or my pizza my pizza sauce, I put my pizza sauce down, and I left a little bit of an edge, and there's a reason for that, because I need to seal.
Real quick, Karen Nash, do not crash your car. That would not be wise.
Miss Karen, don't crash your car. Thank you for watching, but be safe. All right, so, oops. So I'm working on a spinach and artichoke pizza, and I've left a little bit of an edge here on my dough, as you can see, and the main reason for that is so I can seal my edges. So I'm gonna take some water, And I'm just gonna run my finger around the edge of my dough. Now you can make your calzones bigger than this. You can make them smaller than this. I've seen people take those canned biscuits and kind of roll those out and turn them into calzones. All right, so I've done that, and now I'm gonna bring these together. And I'm going to attach my calzone edges together. Now you wanna make sure that you've got your filling in the middle and you've got enough room on the edges to very carefully adhere your edges together. I'm going to use a fork, and you just want to kind of crimp those edges if you can. So I'm crimping around this side here. And you can crimp in a different fashion. You can crimp if you want to make a really pretty fold, like a pie crust, or if you just want to use the tines of your fork, that's okay too. You really just want to make sure that your edges are sealed and sealed well. So you don't want any of your filling to come out. All right, so I've gone ahead and I've started my oven for 400 degrees. I'm going to bake my vegan calzones separately from my meat calzones. But you always want to make sure that you're giving a ventilation for steam. So I'm going to mark my vegan calzones with a V. And I'm using my knife to do that. I'm just cutting through my pizza dough. All right, so these are my vegan calzones. One second. All right. Oops. So there's one, and I'll actually kind of show you guys. There's my little vegan calzone. I don't know if you can see it well, but there it is. So I'm gonna work on a second one. Do we have any questions while I'm working on this?
Well, we have one. What the heck is that thing on the counter that looks like an oven?
Oh!
Newcomers that have never seen that.
Oh, this is a really great toaster oven. It's called the June. We are not sponsored by June. It's just a nice little toaster oven that I purchased a year ago, or it was 2 years ago actually. I've had it now for 2 years, and it is just a dream of an appliance. I mean, it is amazing. I love it. It bakes, it roasts, it actually has an air fryer, babe.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
A couple more questions. What do you have on top of the pan?
Oh, I put parchment paper on top of my baking sheet, just so that I prevent sticking. You can use one of those silicone baking mats if you have those. You can use parchment paper. If you don't want to use any of those things, I would just use maybe some nonstick cooking spray, just to kind of make sure that your dough doesn't stick. That would kind of ruin your calzone, in my opinion.
You have a lurker behind you also watching.
Oh, you guys marble? Yeah.
All right, do you recommend oil, flour? I guess Juana's having some questions come in about that.
Oil for what?
I think Luana, you may need to. Let me ask her.
Okay, yeah, I just need more specifics as far as what's going on.
Hey, kitty alert! Look up. Nice.
Oh. So I'm just gonna work on that second vegan calzone right now, and I'm just working the dough with my hands.
Oh, on the pan.
Oh, yeah, so on the pan, I would definitely use more of like an oil as opposed to a flour. Some pizza places, some pizza joints will use cornmeal. You can definitely do that. But it just depends on what you prefer. If you have a pizza stone, you could definitely use that as well. I don't have one of those, so I'm just using a baking sheet with parchment paper. Shouldn't be too thick because otherwise it won't bake through. So you definitely don't want it to be too thick. You want your dough to be a nice thickness so that way it encompasses all your fillings, but not so thick that you can't bake it and not so thin that it fries, you know? So if you're a person who likes your pizza dough on a little bit on the thicker side, then go ahead and use a little bit more of a thickness. If you're a person who prefers your pizza dough like super ultra thin and crispy like my dad, go ahead and do that, but maybe just kind of make sure it's not too thin. Remember, you guys, everything that you do in the kitchen is a lot about personal preference. And sometimes it's trial and error. Sometimes you'll make something and it will not turn out well. And that has happened to me before, you know? You just make it and you're like, ooh, I don't know what happened, but it was not good. And sometimes it'll be like the most amazing thing you've ever done and it just happened by accident. So you just want to remember that baking and cooking are not a perfect science. It's like art. It's perfectly imperfect. And sometimes you have a masterpiece and sometimes you have nothing. And that's okay. You want to remember that if it tastes good and it is made with love, then sometimes it doesn't matter what it looks like. At least as far as food. I think art has, you know, requirements for it to look acceptable. What are you giggling about over there?
All right, real quickly, can you back away from the counter and just point out where Marble is? A lot of people are asking, where did this cat go?
Are you in here? Yeah. Okay, so she's in the catification. I don't know if you can see her, but she's tucked back in here. So we have catification that she can hang out, that our cats can hang out on. So she went in and tucked herself in to a little alcove. She did not just magically disappear. Our cats don't have such special powers. But we built catification along our family room wall so that the cats could hide and hang out up top and just sort of observe from loftier positions, which apparently Marble is taking full advantage of.
All right, I have a couple of food-related questions.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you only put, and you're gonna have to repeat these. Do you only put the pizza sauce on one side of the dough?
I personally only put the pizza sauce on one side of the dough. It helps because I need to use the other side of the dough to adhere all of my ingredients, but also it would make it tricky to close your calzone up if you did it on both sides. Now, that doesn't mean you can't give that a go, see how it works. If you are interested in extra sauce, you could even use a little bit more sauce. You just want to remember that your ingredients have to stay contained. So if you're really saucy, you may not be able to close your calzone with a nice seal.
All right, and then next question, and you're gonna have to repeat this because I can't hear myself talking. Nancy Gillard wants to know: can we use anything else other than white flour?
What does she, as far as what, like for pizza dough or?
See if she responds.
Okay, so Miss Nancy, I need more information about your question as far as white flour. Is it regarding making pizza dough? Is it regarding your surface area to prepare your calzone? I need more information to kind of give you a better answer, because right now I'm not sure what you're looking for, and I don't want to misinform you.
And then let's see. So Lawana had one coming from one of the sharers. How full should it be filled? Will the insides cook down?
That's a great question. How full should you fill your calzone? Now, some people really like to stuff theirs to the max. I caution against really overfilling your calzones. You don't want everything to burst out. If you like a lot of fillings, you're gonna have to make a bigger calzone. A lot of my stuff I've already cooked, so my sausage is already cooked, but my bell pepper is not. So some of it will cook down, and some of it, like my spinach is not cooked right now. I've just shredded it with my knife. It's not cooked down, so that will cook down. And my artichokes, they've been grilled, so I believe that they're as good as they're gonna get. And your cheese will melt, and you'll have, some sort of settling, so to speak, but not necessarily all the way. So you don't want to overfill. Remember, you want to leave that gap along the side so you have enough room to seal your calzone, but you also don't want it, to come busting out the sides or the top. All right, so this is heated up and ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these in the oven.
So Nancy Gillen was actually asking about the dough. So do we use a different kind of flour in there or some other substance instead of flour?
Nancy, as far as using something other than flour in your pizza dough, I'm not sure. I don't know that you're going to get the same result, because your flour is basically giving you those glutens, which is helping with that stretch, with that, what I'm getting here, this kind of stretch is all flour based. So using something other than white flour, I don't know that you're going to have the same result. I don't believe you're gonna be able to do something like a cauliflower dough calzone, but you might be able to. It might work. This is just sort of one of those things where you have to experiment if you are willing to put in sort of a little bit of extra time and, prep work. Because if you're making a cauliflower dough, or a cauliflower crust, I should say, it might work. But I don't know that it would, because you have to get that fold. So if you're using something other than white flour, I don't know that you'll have the same results. If anybody has done anything like that, go ahead and let us know, and Andy can tell me and I can share with you guys. But I believe the benefit of the white flour, the all-purpose flour, or the bread flour, is to get that glutinous stretch that people, that you're looking for with a pizza dough.
Hey, got another
Egg wash on the outside. That's
it was a bit of a question here. Do you butter or egg wash the outside of the dough?
Personally, I would recommend doing an egg wash. I don't have any eggs on hand, so I'm not going to do that. But I would definitely recommend an egg wash. I think it gives a beautiful, beautiful look to your calzone. It's gonna give you that like glossy, shiny top, which I think is gorgeous. But it's not a mandatory thing. With a vegan calzone, you're definitely not gonna be able to do an egg wash on that. So I just went ahead and skipped it. And again, I don't have any eggs to do an egg wash on the omnivore calzones. I just did not get any eggs because Andy is not going to be home to eat them until the end of the week, and I don't know that he's going to need any more eggs because I think he bought some on the road.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, he did.
Let's see here. Let's see. Are you going to cook them? This comes from Tammy. Are you going to cook them through or only partially, since you'll be serving them tomorrow? Reheating them will finish the cooking, or are you going to eat these cold? I have another question right after that.
Okay, so Tammy, I am cooking these all the way through because the reheating process at Big Cat Rescue is basically a microwave, and we have limited amount of time to eat. So my job in this instance is to get these ready to go so that volunteers and interns can go ahead and just get these heated up and in their bellies, so that way they can head back to work within a short period of time. If I were making these at home for a later serving date, I would go ahead and just like pre-bake, so to speak, and then go ahead and finish them up later, but that's not an option at this moment.
Alright, so which cheese can you use that won't get all greasy when it melts inside the calzone? Any guess?
Which cheese can you use that won't get so greasy inside the calzone?
And so which cheese can you use that won't get greasy when it melts inside the calzone?
Well, I'm using a low moisture part skim mozzarella. So when I do my omnivores, so I don't I think if you use like a fresh mozzarella, that's gonna be a better bet. I think that's gonna be your best option, is a fresh mozzarella. It's got a low moisture content, but I don't know for sure. It's been a while since I've actually used cheese on pizza. So, like real cheese. I don't use a lot of dairy products, and I don't know what the result is because I don't consume those dairy products. But I'm using a low moisture mozzarella. So I would say either a low moisture mozzarella, or I have heard that fresh mozzarella is really where it's at. It's gonna give you a better, melt, but don't quote me on that. I know that probably doesn't help, and I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Alright, what do you use in place of eggs for vegans? What do you use?
For a vegan egg wash, I have used like an almond milk or a non-dairy milk brushed over the top. And I have done that with something. I think I did it with scones or biscuits. I can't remember. So I've heard that you can do a coconut milk wash over the top. But I don't usually carry like a canned coconut milk in my house. I don't typically keep that. So I've done like a non-dairy milk over the top. Just brushed it on over. And I have had some success with it, if I want it to be super pretty.
what do you add to your egg wash when you do one? What is the egg wash essentially?
So when I use an egg wash, I simply add a small amount of water and then I just whisk my egg, or I beat it with like a fork, and I put it in a small like ramekin like this, and then I'll just whisk it with a fork and a little bit of water. That's what I use on for my egg wash.
And lastly, since Andy isn't home, who's doing dishes?
Since Andy is not home, unfortunately, I am doing dishes. Andy is off dish duty this weekend, so I am sad about that. I'm not going to lie. I will be doing the dishes, so bummer for me. So, oof. And he got off of dish duty last weekend too because his dad did the dishes. That's 2 weeks in a row, dude. Next weekend, you're totally doing the dishes. Oh, it's happening.
Alright, so what do you make? What's going on?
Alright, so I'm currently working on calzones. I've got 2 vegan calzones going in my oven, my toaster oven. And I am now working on my pepperoni and bell pepper calzones. I'm working on a hot lunch program for the organization that I volunteer at called Big Cat Rescue. And we get really busy during the weekends, especially Saturdays. Saturdays are one of our busier days, especially in the gift shop. So I am providing a service for my fellow volunteers and the interns, and I offer them the ability to purchase a hot lunch. And it's not always hot. Sometimes it's, you know, a pasta salad or a green salad, because it's Florida and holy fish sticks isn't hot here. So sometimes you don't want a lot of hot food. It's supposed to be rainy and kind of gross tomorrow. So we probably won't have, it won't be too warm. It'll just be humid and gross. But this weekend I'm working on calzones, and then I'm making a side dish of broccoli, because roasted broccoli is pretty awesome when you do it well. And my friend Nico, for those of you who know Nico and have met him before, he absolutely loves broccoli, or at least the broccoli I make, he loves. So I'm making broccoli, and I'm taking puff pastry and layering it with a chocolate hazelnut spread, and then I'm turning it into like dessert. It's gonna be amazing. So right now I'm just working on my dough.
All right, so you got this all made. You got the June going. What's the June set to? How long?
That's a great question. So currently my oven is set to 400 degrees, and I believe I set it for 15 minutes, but I may have set it for 18. I don't remember. I'm sorry. But anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes at 400 degrees until it's golden brown and kind of looking yummy. Pretty sure I just missed my mouth there a little bit. Sorry, you had to witness that.
Did you say you were making a broccoli dessert?
No, I'm making a broccoli side dish. And then I'm making a puff pastry dessert. I like to have a vegetable on the side just because we really do, you know, we work hard at Big Cat Rescue, and we really do need a lot of fuel, food fuel. So I do make a lot of comfort foods, but I also like to have a vegetable so that way everybody's getting kind of a balanced meal, you know. The person, the nurturer in me wants to kind of make sure everybody's getting good stuff. So Andy has a gluten intolerance, which is why I'm making all of this stuff while he's gone. Because that way, even though he's actually missing out, he's not really missing out. And I will say, I made him some really tasty food for the road. I made him some breakfast sandwiches, some gluten-free breakfast sandwiches with eggs and sausage and peppers and onions and cheese. And I also made him some jambalaya to eat on the road. So he's well taken care of, even though we are hundreds of miles apart and he is in Tennessee. So I made sure to make food for him before I left, before we parted ways at his mom and dad's house. So don't feel too bad for him. But I'm just using my finger and this, water to make sure that my edges are wet. You don't want them to be like soaking wet, but the best way to make sort of like a seal on your dough, whether it's pie dough or bread dough or pizza dough or whatever, is to use water. Water acts like glue when you're working with dough. So anytime you use pie crust, whether it's homemade or store-bought, you want to make sure that if you need to adhere something together, if you participated in our live video at Big Cat Rescue a couple weeks ago and I worked on that pot pie, I used water to kind of adhere my pie crusts together because I made a double layer. But yeah, you always want to use water. Water acts like glue.
Is that just plain water?
It is just plain water. Just right out of my tap. Nothing fancy. Nothing crazy. And you guys, you can build these calzones any way you like. Andy really loved Hawaiian pizza. So if he were still able to eat calzones, and I was making him one, I would make him a Hawaiian pizza calzone. So I would do cheese and Canadian bacon or ham, green olives, and pineapple, which for a lot of people, there's the controversy. I may have started a controversial conversation about pineapple on pizza, but it's pretty tasty. It's good. But yeah, we liked Hawaiian pizza. We used to eat a lot of Hawaiian pizza. There was a pizza shop down the street from where we lived when we lived in Wisconsin, in Milwaukee. And we would, every once in a while, they would have like a promotion where it would be like $5 pizzas for carry out on a certain day. And so we would order a Hawaiian pizza, and one of us would pick it up on our way home and have pizza together. But fill this with things that you like. If you are one of those people that likes anchovies, go with anchovies. And you know what you could do? You could chop it up and put it right in the sauce. If you only want veggies, make a veggie. If you don't want red sauce, you could do an olive oil and garlic sauce, or you could use fettuccine Alfredo sauce and make an Alfredo pie. This is the nice thing about calzone. It's just like pizza. It's just a little pizza pocket. So you have the ability to make it whatever you want, and you don't have to follow any rules. That's the nice thing about cooking and baking, is that baking does require some rules because you have science involved with, water to or liquids to, to solids ratios and that kind of thing. But cooking is a little bit more freeform. My mom does not like mushrooms, and she doesn't like pepperoni. So when she saw what was being offered, she's like, "Oh, make me one that's sausage and green pepper." And I was like, "Mom, you live in Wisconsin, so I love you, but no. Well, you'll have to make your own calzones." Not that I wouldn't make my mother food, but she's not here.
All right, I have a couple of good questions here.
Okay.
Someone asked earlier about vegan cheese. I missed that question. I'm sorry. Tell us about vegan cheese. Is there such a thing? And can you use it here?
There is such a thing as vegan cheese, and I have used it here. So vegan cheese there's all different kinds and all different brands. You just have to kind of figure out which one you like best. The brand that I really like is Violife, but I also like Follow Your Heart. So I used the Violife mozzarella, just like mozzarella shreds. Ooh. And then I also used the Follow Your Heart Parmesan. Hang on 1 second. It looks like my vegan zones are done.
All right, so while you're walking around there, another question for you. Do you have to add vents? Or just, are you doing that because the other one's vegan, for meat lovers? Why are you adding vents to this? Do you have to do it all?
Yes, you always need to add vents to the top of your crust, of your pizza dough, because no matter what you put in there, excuse me, Delilah, sorry, we have someone climbing into a paper bag. No matter what you put into your calzone, there's going to be steam that needs to escape. So even if it's just meat and sauce, you still need to have that place for steam to go. That's a great question. I'm going to show you guys this because I think they're pretty beautiful.
All right. And while you're turning around doing that, what the heck is a Hawaiian pizza? It's glorious. It's amazing.
Look at those. Aren't those beautiful? Those are gorgeous. And the crust is nice and firm. A Hawaiian pizza is delicious. So there's a couple variations of a Hawaiian pizza. Most people, excuse me, I'm trying to do this. I'm working here. Most people would consider a Hawaiian pizza just ham or Canadian bacon and pineapple with cheese and sauce. But we at my house went the extra mile. Andy and I would go the extra mile and we would add green olives.
Luana had an awesome question. Can calzones be made ahead of time, frozen, taken camping, and then put in foil and thrown into the coals?
Heck, yeah they can. So if you are you can't eat those. No calzones for you.
I love calzones.
I know you do, but you will puff up and you'll be miserably uncomfortable. So yes, if you are a person who wants to take these camping, you can go ahead and make them ahead of time, and you can bake them. Ladies, seriously, Delilah, can you hear them? Can you hear the bag crinkle? I'm assuming by your giggle, yes? Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. We're having a paper bag playtime right now. Yes, you can absolutely make, ladies, come on. Oh, it was George. It was George and Delilah, my apologies. Yes, you can make these ahead of time. I would bake them just under so that way you don't overcook them. But yes, go ahead and make these ahead of time. Get them baked and then just cook them under a little bit, maybe a couple minutes. And then yes, when you are at your campsite, go ahead and stick them on the coals, or if you have like, I'm trying to think of what else you could use to heat them. But yeah, put them on a hot fire, stick them on a grill, wrapped in tin foil. Yeah, that would be delicious.
Can they be reheated later? Can they be frozen and then reheated?
Absolutely, you can freeze these. Your cheese might get a little bit weird, especially if you're using vegan cheese. But if you baked it ahead of time, your cheese should be okay. But I will say that cheese, because it has water in it, it can get funky when you freeze it and reheat it. But that doesn't mean it's not going to work, and it doesn't mean it's not going to taste good. It just might be a little bit of a weird consistency. And again, the vegan cheese, that might be a little bit tricky, but that doesn't mean it's impossible.
And then, is a calzone and a stromboli basically the same thing?
That's a great question. So a stromboli and a calzone are very similar, but a stromboli is more like a braid, where a calzone is kind of like a little pocket. And I believe in certain homes, a calzone has sauce and a stromboli doesn't inside, and you dip, or vice versa. I can't remember. Oh, I need to vent this. So you can, yeah, stromboli and calzone are fairly similar things. All right, so I've got 3 sausage. No, I've got 3 pepperoni, and now I just have to make 3 sausage. Sorry, that singing is my big oven. I need to use it for my sheet tray for my meat-filled calzones. Because I didn't have enough room on my sheet tray for the June. So most volunteers and interns will eat just about anything when they're hungry. So, you know, and I think family is the same. When they're hungry and you've made something beautiful and with love, it may not be the prettiest thing ever, but if you've made something from your heart, it doesn't matter if it's the most beautiful thing. It doesn't have to look like it came out of a food magazine or, you know, a television show. It just has to be something that is made with love and something that you worked on. And sometimes, again, it's not always the most amazing thing ever, but sometimes it turns out to be the best. And I think...
Sorry.
It's okay.
Do you have to turn your calzone during baking?
You do not have to turn your calzone during baking. I definitely would recommend against flipping it or turning it. If you want to go ahead and pull your pan out and rotate your pan, that's something you can do if you need to for your oven, but you don't have to do that. And definitely don't flip them upside down onto the other side. That's not a good idea. Not at all. So, let's see. I'm trying to think of...
Good question.
What's the question?
Tammy wants to know, what got you interested in starting a hot lunch club other than being hungry?
Well, what got me started on the hot lunch program mostly was that Andy and I were working. We finally started going in together on Saturdays. Ordinarily, I didn't go into the gift shop on Saturdays, and Andy would go in by himself and hang out and kind of help Elisa. And I didn't usually go in on Saturdays, but then I started. Once I got my green shirt, which means that I can take care of the bigger cats like tigers and lions, I promised that once I got my green shirt, I would start going in to help take care of the cats. Like keeping and cleaning, I would do that during the week, and projects and that kind of thing. And then I would go in to the gift shop on Saturdays and help out specifically in the gift shop, giving tours and that kind of thing. So I promised I would do that. So Andy and I would go in and we would go together and we would spend time together, but we would always order out lunch. All of us, our friend Elisa, the gift shop manager, she, we would all order lunch. And then Nico got in on it and we would all, either order lunch or not eat lunch, or people would bring like a sad lunch. And so I thought, we're spending a lot of money eating out. Oh, I'm doing sausage now. Hang on, let me transition over. We're spending a lot of money eating out. But we are also spending a lot of time going to get our food. So I started making lunch for Andy and me, and I would make these beautiful lunches, and then our friends would be like, oh, it looks so good. So I would start making lunch for them. And then I was like, oh, well, I love you guys, but these ingredients, they cost money, and I love you all, but I can't feed you all for free. So I started like this very small group of friends in the gift shop and included them in this hot lunch program. And it was just, just a couple bucks, and you just kind of got what you got, and it was really fun. It was a lot of fun. But then other people would come into the gift shop and they'd be like, oh, this looks amazing. And we'd all be eating this same lunch. And I felt bad. I didn't want to leave anybody out. So then I kind of started opening it up to the people who were regular Saturday volunteers and interns who were there every Saturday, and I saw them every Saturday, and I knew that they'd be interested. And then I just kind of opened it up to the entire sanctuary, so anybody who may be interested and may be in on a Saturday could partake in this. I've just always loved people with food. It's just sort of the way I'm built. When something's wrong, or you've had a bad day, or you're not feeling well, or I don't know, it's always been the way I work. I just have always done loving with food, and I just wanted to kind of keep doing that. It just sort of blossomed into sharing a little bit of who I am with my fellow volunteers and interns, and we need fuel. Like I said earlier, we need that fuel every day because we work hard and it's hot. I need to vent this, and I need to make an M because this one has mushrooms. Icky, icky mushrooms. I'm having a hard time. You need to sharpen the tips of the knives, please.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you. So it just sort of kind of, I don't know, organically happened. And I'm glad it did, because it's just, I don't know, food has always been the way that I give of myself. And I don't know how to not do that. I don't know. So, but it's been a lot of fun, and I love the planning process. My mom thinks I'm crazy, but I love the planning process. I love planning the meals and putting together the menu and the recipes, and hoping that people find joy in just something that they've eaten, as opposed to just running out and grabbing whatever they can and then racing back and having 10 minutes to sit down and eat. It's just a nice, food is just sort of a nice way to come together. And it gives us the chance to sit down as sort of a weird little misfit family and have time together, especially during the craziness of a big cat day when you don't know when you're going to be able to sit down again, you don't know when you're going to be done working. It helps to kind of bring a moment of quiet and fun and laughter and joy to hectic work days, which we all love, don't get me wrong. I mean, we love what we do. I love being a volunteer, but it is nice in the middle of kind of a crazy day to sit down with my husband, whom I don't get to see very often, if you guys read the blog post from earlier this week, but also, but also my friends and my big cat family. So it's really an enjoyable moment, or a couple of moments to just sit and veg. I went into the Keeper Cafe this afternoon, and some of the newer interns they looked like they had fallen asleep at the table. So lunch is definitely an important time of day for all of us, especially if you're outside on the sanctuary property, like keeping and picking up after the cats and cleaning and that kind of thing and working on projects. So yeah. So I've been talking a lot. Any questions? Because I feel like I've just been schnuttering now.
Well, let's see. So we want to have one from one of these share groups. Will we be doing any grill cooking lessons?
Not a lot of grilling gonna be happening here, partly because our grill is not very nice looking.
But buy a new one.
You are not buying a new grill.
I'll come home with one.
We did do a kebab video at the end of April. So if you go onto Chicken and Nuggets Facebook page, you will see that we did some kebabs, and there are photos of the kebabs. This dough is really starting to give me some sass. So not a lot of grilling. This dough is not cooperating, Andy.
Sorry, I can't touch it or I'll die.
You won't die. You will puff up though. He gets miserably uncomfortable. All right, well, that's gonna be an interesting calzone. I think I'm gonna give this one to Nico. Any other questions?
No, doesn't look like it.
No.
Someone said more flour.
More flour?
Yeah, I don't quite.
Do you know what the context of that was?
No.
All right, so the person who commented more flour, could you give me more context, please?
All right, so with what you're doing here, can you make like a savory pie out of kind of what you're doing? Dessert.
As far as like a savory pie, I would maybe suggest using a pie crust instead of pizza dough. It can be just a little bit tricky to work with. I'm having a more difficult time now with the pizza dough. If you're looking for a savory pie, like a hand pie almost, I would use pie crust or pie dough instead of pizza. So if you're looking for like a savory hand pie, definitely go with the pie crust, in my opinion.
Could you possibly add more flour to the mix to fix your dough problem?
I probably could. This is pre-made store-bought dough. I did not make this dough, so I'm not sure, but yeah, maybe adding more flour. I don't know. I've just got one calzone left to make. So it's also very warm in here in our house and in Florida. So it could be that my pizza dough is not enjoying the warmth. It just could be that it's not pleased with that, with the temperature in the house. So because dough can get picky and finicky, it can be really temperamental, which is one of the reasons I don't make it myself, because the proofing and the rising and then the punching down and then the proofing and the rising and the punching down and all that jazz, I don't do well with that. Our house is a little bit on the warmer side of people's homes in Florida. For those of you who are curious about what that means, 78 to 80 degrees is what we usually keep the house at. So for all my friends in Florida, go ahead and, let your brains explode. Even for my mom, who lives in Wisconsin, that's very, 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 very warm when she comes to visit. So when my mom comes down, we turn the air down even further, and I wear sweatpants and socks because I am freezing. So my pizza dough might just be a little bit picky because it's so warm in here. But this is my last calzone. So if anybody has any last questions, go ahead and get them in now. I'm gonna finish this calzone and pop these in the oven, and then we'll post photos of them after they're done.
Let's see, so are you serving anything with the calzones?
I am serving something with the calzones. I'm doing a roasted broccoli on the side, and then I am making a chocolate hazelnut puff pastry dessert. So that should be pretty tasty. It should be a nice meal. I'm hoping people enjoy it, to be honest. I think it'll be kind of delish. So I'm just doing a roasted, I'm just gonna cut the broccoli, and I'm going to toss it in olive oil and some seasonings and put it in the oven and just roast it off. That's so simple and it's super tasty. And then I will work on my puff pastry dessert with the chocolate hazelnut spread. I'm just gonna spread some hazelnut chocolate filling on one side, flip it over, cut it into strips, braid it together and stick it in the oven. Nothing crazy. I like things that are simple because I have a lot of parts that I need to work on, but also because it's just simple is sometimes better, in my opinion, when it comes to food. It doesn't have to be, a cooked goose or something like that. It just needs to be simple and tasty and fast and easy. And it needs to be portable. These are things that we need to be able to kind of grab and go. And I'm sort of always thinking about what's going to work well for the circumstance in which I'm serving the food. If this were a sit-down dinner, I'd definitely be a little bit more advanced or a little bit more in depth with what I'm making. but it's not a sit-down dinner. It's a quick grab-and-go lunch. And this gives us the chance to kind of get what we need out of the food and then get back to work.
Oh man, you mentioned the dessert. People want to know if you will show us how to make the dessert.
I don't have the opportunity to show you guys how to make the dessert tonight because the puff pastry is still in the freezer. So we would have to sit here and hang out together and watch it thaw. So I will not, but how about if we do the dessert at some other time? Like I'll come back and I'll make another dessert similar to it or exactly the same. We'll put that, let's put that on the calendar and let's make sure that we do something, maybe even just make a video of it and you guys can watch it whenever. So I'll definitely make sure that the dessert, maybe not tonight, is incorporated because my tech guy is not here, but I will definitely, make sure that you guys get that information, and I will post photos at least of the dessert. Alright, so I've got my calzones. Boop. I'm gonna go ahead and toss those in the oven. So do we have any last questions before we call it a night?
I don't see any.
All right. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment or write on our wall. You can send a message on our Facebook page. If you don't already subscribe to Chicken and Nugget, go ahead and like and follow us on Facebook. But you can also go to the website, chickenandnugget.com. If you go to the website, you can fill out the form, which is your first name and your email address. That gets you the recipe for the calzones, but it also gets you subscribed. So you get things like the blog, any updates, you get the recipes in advance for anything that we're making, and you'll get the information. So just remember, you can like and follow us on Facebook. That'll get you information, but also subscribing and signing up on our website at chickenandnugget.com. That'll help you guys get all the information and the details. So, anything else, babe? Did I forget anything?
It doesn't look like it. Lots of chatter about the Big Cat Public Safety Act.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep, we did the Big Cat Public Safety Act presentation. Jen Leone did that for our volunteers and interns on Tuesday. We do need your help with that. So if you guys, for anybody who's not familiar with the Big Cat Public Safety Act and is interested in helping protect big cats from private ownership, but also cub petting. If you guys are interested in ending cub petting in the United States, if you want to know what cub petting is, I'll give you the quick and dirty of it. Cub petting is basically like if you gave birth to a human baby and within hours or days after giving birth, it is taken from you and then handed to hundreds of strangers throughout the day so they could hold your baby and have pictures taken with your baby. Your baby doesn't get to sleep. These people are complete strangers. You don't know them. And someone is making money off of this. You're not getting any money. Cub petting is basically like that. These animals are bred for photo opportunities and they're ripped from their mothers hours, days after they're born, and then they spend their days wide awake, being forced to stay awake so they can have their photos taken. It's really not a good practice. But it is alive and well in the United States, along with the private ownership of big cats. So we at Big Cat Rescue and Wildcat Sanctuary, if you're familiar with them. They're in Minnesota. I can't speak for them, but I know that they support the Big Cat Public Safety Act. If you guys want to help us kind of end the private ownership of big cats in the United States, we would love for you to text the word cats to 52886. You just take out your phone, it's super simple, you just text the word, you put in 52886, text the word cats, you'll get a response. You fill out that response. Basically, it's your phone, your name, your street address, your city and state, your zip code, and then you will be patched directly through to your congressperson. So it's already after 5 o'clock on the East Coast, so they're all gone for the weekend. If you want to leave a message, it's really simple. All you just have to say is, "Hi, my name is Bridget and my zip code is, please ask your boss to co-sponsor the Big Cat Public Safety Act and end the private ownership of big cats as well as cub petting in the United States." And it's really simple, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Super simple. You just leave a message. We really need help with this. We had some really great momentum back in March, and we just really want to keep that momentum going. We really need to, and it's really important. So if you have any questions about food or about big cats, go ahead and you can write on our wall. You can comment on this video, and I'll get back to you guys, or Andy will help with some of the big cat questions. Because I'm gonna keep cooking and I have to clean up because he's not here. But if you also want to message us or send an email, you can send an email to bridget@chickenandnugget.com. That's my email address. That's a great way to just kind of help out. It's super simple, and excuse me, I am grateful for that. I know that Big Cat Rescue is grateful for that. The Big Cats are grateful for that. It's just a great way to kind of make a difference in the world and be a part of something bigger, a big change. When it happens, you will be one of the people that can look at your friends and be like, I helped with that. So other than that, Women's World Cup started today. So all my soccer fans, my husband, Andy, he's a huge soccer fan. So any soccer fans, World Cup started today. Whoop, whoop. France beat Korea 4-0. I just watched the tail end of the game before we started. So go World Cup. Anything else to add, babe?
No, looks like it's good. I can end your video from here.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and let Andy end this. If you guys have questions, just reach out. We'll get to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Happy World Cup.